Hey everybody, it's Don Giannetti back for the second class in how to find and keep commercial photography clients. I know you're swamped with the last assignment, the portfolio. There's so much information there. It just can overwhelm you. Don't let it. Just get into it, dig in there, create that portfolio. If you're a seasoned photographer, you got a good solid portfolio and you're feeling good about it, then that's okay. Do all of the work that we ask you to do there. Please take out the photographs, write the little blurbs. You will get your brain training itself in photography. It's really a blast. This is number 2, building a list of channels. Who needs what we do? That's a really important question, when you start talking about commercial photography. Who needs it? Well, we want to know who needs it. We want to know really seriously who needs it. We're going to build the channels list. Who needs the work we do? It's an interesting way to approach our photography. We have our photofolio. Some of us are working on photolios. And by the way, let me throw this in. A lot of photographers do photolios all the time. Sometimes we call them swipe files. Sometimes we call them idea folders, whatever. But they're kind of like photolios. They're stuff that we see and we want to save them. I have a folder on my desk here that has stuff that I've seen that I've ripped out because I really liked it. And there's stuff I have on my computer where I've really liked something and I've saved it. I'm not going to copy it. We're not copying anybody. We don't need to copy it. You can't copy it anyway. I mean, it's just impossible. But we don't need to copy it. We just want to be inspired sometimes. So, who uses commercial photography? Well, here's a list. Corporations, small business, magazines, and other publications like journals and books, etc. And if those are our 4 big groups, there are within there other large groups. Brands use photography. Brands use photography like crazy because the channels they have for distribution are multi-fold what they used to have. Advertising your product used to be newspaper, television, magazine ads. That's it. Now you've got newspapers, online forums, websites, web ads, Instagram, Facebook, Vine, Snapchat, LinkedIn, on and on. And brands are using those. Twitter, brands are using those to get their story out. And what do they use to get the story out? Photographs. Hey, I know people who make photographs. I'm talking to a whole group of them right here. Service industries, products, books, brochures, catalogs, social media, charities, government, entrepreneurs. I'll leave it at that, but you can add at least 5 or 6 more. Just put your brain to it. If you can't come up with another one, just don't leave this page until you come up with another one. Make your brain work. What is a channel? Knowing who would use the work you do will help to identify if and where they are in your area. I did say if because I want to start out with this giant caveat right up front. If you want to be a fashion photographer, hardcore fashion photographer, then your limitations are unbounded. You can live anywhere you want, as long as it's New York City or Brooklyn or the Bronx, Long Island, Staten Island, maybe across the river in Jersey. New York City is where fashion is done. Everywhere else is a cheap imitation. There's some fashion in Chicago, mostly catalog. There's some fashion in Miami. There's some fashion in LA and San Francisco, but not a lot, and a lot of competition vying for it. There are more fashion clients in one building in the fashion district, more fashion clients in one building than the entire city and other major towns. everything they had there, they wouldn't equal what one small building in LA and New York City has. So if you want to be a fashion photographer, bite the bullet, move to New York. Don't send me a note saying, Don, I want to be a fashion photographer, and I've got this awesome portfolio, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to Fargo. No, don't do that, okay? That doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to live anywhere but New York City, it's going to be tough. I'm really, really upfront about that. Doesn't mean that you can't go to New York, by the way, become a big hot fashion shooter and then move somewhere else. Lots of photographers have done that. Go do that. No problem. And by the way, if you think fashion is off-the-rack t-shirts and stuff for boutiques, no. It might be fashion with a small f, but it's not fashion with a capital F. Let's clarify a few things. Commercial photography is not necessarily art photography. We are not artists in the sense of a fine artist who creates a piece of work, a photograph, and then that photograph sells as something to hang on somebody's wall. We're creating something to be used, a tool, a visual tool that the people we photograph for can use to help make more sales of their service, of their products, of their consulting, of whatever it is that they're selling. Our pictures are going to help them do more of it. That's what we do. That's our goal. They depend on us to bring the highest level of technical proficiency, creative imagination, and organizational skills to play. We take all of that and we roll it into an eye of an artist, the temperament of a craftsperson, and the business smarts of an entrepreneur. Don't let anyone tell you that creative photographers can't be business people. That is pure BS. If you don't know what BS stands for, look it up on Google. It has to do with cows. It's BS. You can figure out how to do business. You can learn how to do business. It's not rocket science. Understanding business is vital for you moving forward. Otherwise, you will always be a victim. How many victims do we have here? 0. We don't do victims. Victims don't make good commercial photography entrepreneurs. They just don't. Prima donnas exist in this business. There are always, you hear stories of this photographer, that photographer who's, oh, I won't do that. No, I won't do that. But they're few and far between, believe me. The clients expect a certain level of skill. They expect you to be X good. So you are already a good photographer if you've made it to commercial photography land. The rest of it is, are you fun to work with? Are you enjoyable to work with? If you're not fun, is it still enjoyable? Because if you're not someone that someone wants to hang out with, you're probably not going to get the jobs, even if you do have amazing work in your portfolio. So understanding what it's like to be a person is also part of being a commercial photographer. I want you to be very sure where you fit in as a commercial photographer. We are hired by entities to do work for other entities. Let me clarify. We are hired by third parties, generally ad agencies, PR firms, graphic designers, solo graphic designers, design agencies, catalog houses, etc. We're hired by them to produce work for their clients. AB Consulting goes to Jones Advertising. Jones Advertising goes and hires a photographer, me. I'm not working for AB Consulting. I'm working for Jones Advertising. My entire financial transaction is with Jones Advertising. They will decide what I'm going to shoot. They will approve what I shoot. They will use what I shoot. AB Consulting will be happy. AB Consulting will tell Jones Advertising what a great job they did. They're probably not going to call me and say, oh, what a great job you did. They don't care. Usually. If you're a big name, different, but usually they don't care. They're just happy that you were there. Jones Advertising chose you. You did a great job. So we want to always understand where we fit in. We are not prima donnas, and we're not there usually to be fine artists or artists with attitude. We're there to produce a product that these other two firms have worked long and hard to come up with. The concept of this photograph, how it's going to look, where it's going to play, etc. And now you're brought in to do it. Now's not the time to make waves. Always feel it's a time to innovate after you've done what you're supposed to do. I was a creative director for 9 years, which means an art director and creative director for 9 years. And believe me, I had more than one occasion where the photographer decided they wanted to, just change it up a little bit, make it cooler. We don't need cooler right now until after we've got what we got, because what we need is to be able to go back to our client and say, that thing that we fought over for 6 meetings and we finally compromised, here it is. Oh, that looks good. Now, while we were there, Mr. Client, we also did this and this and this. Client could say, oh, those are nice too. Client could say, wow, that's even better. Okay, great. We'll use that. But right now, you're working for somebody who spent a lot of time getting that thing approved. Get them what they need, and then get what you need after that, or what you want to do after that. Commercial photographers work to create a few images that are used to promote goods and services. These are the images used in advertisements, brochures, TV, music, CDs, etc., etc. We call them hero images. Editorial photographers, who are part of the commercial photography realm because they work for somebody, creating images for something. Editorial photographers are usually hired to illustrate a story or a tutorial or an article or some sort of research. They're hired to the images go along with something else. There are online publications, there are print publications, obviously. Editorial is mixed with advertising in many commercial ventures, like magazines or online magazines, where you'll have pages of advertising mixed in with pages of editorial. Editorial is produced by the client, by the magazine. The magazine does a story on the 10 best fishing holes in northern Idaho, or they do a story on what's hot at the beach this summer. Okay, that's the magazine. So the magazine hires a photographer to go up to Idaho and photograph these 10 fishing holes. They hire a photographer to go out with 2 models and photograph beachwear for their editorial. And the beachwear can come from 10 different designers. And the guy up in Idaho is working at 10 different locations. Magazine puts it all together. Now, there may be an ad in the magazine for a Kenneth Cole swimsuit. That's going to be a model, maybe a model, but photographed in a Kenneth Cole swimsuit. Kenneth Cole paid for the page in the magazine. Kenneth Cole hired the photographer or the ad agency or the PR firm or whatever it is to get it done. They get it done. Kenneth Cole buys the page, sticks it in the magazine. That's an ad. You have to know the difference. Commercial photographers starting out today, I think, this is me, I think you got to know how to do both. I think you got to know how to do both fairly well, because the lines between the two are blurring. We have a way of shooting now called the library shoot. Library shoots are very popular with some clients, many clients actually, but some clients, especially those who have vast uses of images. Everything from Flickr accounts to in-house trade publications to on and on and on, ads, slideshows, whatever. I have 2 clients that I do library shoots for, and they have a dozen ways they use those images. So when I'm doing a library shoot, I'm out and we are doing photographs quickly. We generally will do between 15 and 25 photographs in a day. A hero shot, let's say the company was going to do an ad for the cover of some trade magazine. They got the cover and they got the inside story and they got an ad. We might spend all day doing one shot. We're bringing in lights on cranes and, moving big trucks into position, and then we sweep the ground. We may have to use dryers to dry it out. We're making that perfect shot, that hero shot. That's advertising. The rest of the time we're shooting that truck. We're shooting it over, small against the rig, big against the rig. We're going to get up on the rig and shoot down on it. Those are library shots. Photographers these days, when you're starting out, know how to do both. You're going to be called on to do both. Editorial and advertising. Your portfolio is the roadmap. Your portfolio, the images you already have. Your portfolio is going to help us figure out the kind of clients who need the kind of work we do. What kind of work do we do? It's right there in our portfolio. That's the kind of work we do. It's the kind of work we want to do. Now, who uses it? It's not a hard science. There's no math involved. There's no rules. There's just your imagination and some research. You don't want to second guess what people may not want to use. So if you look at a picture and go, wow, that could be used in a pharmaceutical ad. I could see that in a pharmaceutical ad. That other little voice that goes, no, they wouldn't want to see it. You leave that voice alone. Add pharmaceuticals to your channels. We have to be somewhat practical. So if you're taking pictures of half-naked girls and think, well, Industrial will use that. No, they probably won't. As a matter of fact, if you're photographing half-naked girls, you're probably going to have a hard time building channels at all. But that's a different story. Some channels may not be worth the work. Oversaturated, we're talking about fashion, model composite work. I used to pay a decent wage. I made a huge side income doing model composites in Phoenix, Arizona years ago. I don't think anybody makes any money doing it at all now. It's just oversaturated. Models can get plenty of work anywhere. Some channels that you have images for may be difficult in your area. If you've got a lot of summer sports in your portfolio because you used to live in LA and you now live in Alaska, that's going to be challenging because summer sports aren't really big in Alaska. Winter sports are big in Alaska. Well, yeah, I take that back. Summer sports are big in Alaska, but they're a smaller genre than the winter sports. You're going to have hiking, et cetera, like that. But the winter sports are going to be huge in Alaska. If you're a fashion photographer, you're living in Tucson, maybe be a tough thing. And if your specialty is mountain climbing and you live in Omaha, special challenges are going to arrive. There's probably not a lot of services or support or anything for mountain climbing in Omaha. I'm sure there's some, but the question is there enough to sustain you? If you got every job, is there enough to sustain you? If you were a cuisine food shooter in Tucson, Arizona, you shot high level, chef level cuisine, and you lived in Tucson and you got every single cuisine shop there was in Tucson, you would make a living. Because there's not that much of it. Going to have to expand out a little bit. Here's an image from my portfolio. It's an image that was actually shot for a client and has been, I'm using it here to show you some channels. So I'm going to look at this photograph and who could use this photograph? Well, obviously magazines, editorial. I love shooting editorial, so I kind of bring an editorial feel to whatever I do. Editorial. Pharmaceutical companies could use it. We have an elderly guy or an older guy here working, so maybe he's back on the job because of some great pill. Who knows? Industrial company. It's obviously an industrial area. He's doing industry right there. Insurance companies. Do we have to protect our employees from, disease or getting hurt? Maybe insurance companies would use it. Equipment manufacturers. Well, yeah, that's actually what this company does. They fabricate stuff for the oil industry. We know equipment manufacturers can use it. Trade publications. Yeah, I could show this to trade publications, even if they weren't into the specific trade that's happening in this photograph, the fact that I do this kind of work maybe tells them that I can work within the genre of the trade they represent. So yeah, absolutely. Ad agencies, yes. This actually was on a job for an ad agency for an industrial company that fabricates stuff for the oil industry. I just say be confident, be creative, be wise to your images, be wise to how images are used. There's no wrong answer. No one comes out of the woodwork and smacks you upside the head if you think it might be used in the pharmaceutical industry and it isn't. Remember, you're not creating a portfolio for each channel. You're creating a portfolio for multiple channels. Your channels are just helping you guide the work that you do so that you can go and find the clients to hire you to do that work. Let's take a fictional photographer here. Someone who is living in a small Midwestern town, Omaha, Akron, somewhere like that. Loves to shoot landscapes and environmental interiors. Okay, they're shooting a basic full-frame 35mm digital camera kit. So they've got a couple of lenses, probably got a couple of speed lights. They prefer natural light, and they do not have a studio. This photographer does not have a studio. Okay, so would we want to do a whole bunch of high-end product work in a studio location if this is our current situation for this photographer? Maybe she can rent a friend's studio and shoot a whole bunch of high-end product for her portfolio. Well, that's great until the friend isn't available anymore to rent the studio or gets butthurt because she's working and he's not and doesn't rent the studio to her anymore, then she's in trouble. So does it mean she shouldn't do it? No, it just means to take it into consideration. But what can she do? Well, obviously magazines. There's many outdoor-focused magazines that landscape would fit right into. There are many interior design magazines that her interior work could fit right into. So the first channel is editorial. Magazines are going to give this particular photographer a very good running start. She's going to start with local magazines, go to regional, and move to national quickly. But that's the way. Calendars. All right, well, a lot of photographers, when they're first starting out, is like, oh, I can do a calendar. Calendars don't pay that much anymore. I'll be really honest, they don't. Some do, but the vast majority do not. You're not going to get rich shooting for calendars. However, they can be somewhat lucrative, especially if you have stock. So we're going to leave calendars in as a genre. Camping gear companies. Oh, there's a lot of camping gear companies, aren't there? There are camping gear companies that make all kinds of camping gear. National camping gear companies, local camping companies, destination hikes, people who put together rafting trips, on and on and on, all kinds of camping gear. Travel-related advertising. Maybe travel is the thing in itself. What do you use to entice people to travel? Landscapes, cities, food, stuff like that. But landscapes, that's one of them. So travel-related. This could be a major channel for a landscape photographer. Lifestyle products. So the landscape photographer has some beautiful lake shots. Well, all they need to do is add an older couple. Right on the side of that lake, standing down there. Now you got a shot for insurance, investments, pharmaceutical, 401ks. I mean, on and on and on. Lovely waterfall, young couple. Now you've got destination for summer camps, an ad for hiking shorts, what have you. You've got images that those lifestyle products could use, and you're still shooting what you love to shoot. Adventure products, canoes, skis, gliders, parasails, motorcycles, dirt bikes, off-road bicycles, etc. These aren't camping supplies. These are adventure products. Out in the landscape, out making those pictures that that this photographer loves to do. She is a landscape photographer. She just adds some canoes and some skis and some jet skis, and boom, another channel. I hope you can think of more. There are more. If you put your mind to it, our goal is to come up with 6 channels or more. 6 is kind of the minimum. 6 channels, people that use your work. More if you can, but 6 is good. So here's the 6 channels: magazines, calendars, camping gear, travel-related, lifestyle products, and adventure products. All right, sounds good. We are getting close. Now, that portfolio that we look at looks a whole lot more commercial, doesn't it? Because we've identified some businesses, some channels, some verticals that could use our work. Not bad. We're moving ahead. That's a lot of possibility. We haven't even touched the environmental work, whether it's interior design companies, construction firms, or anything else. The environmental interiors we never even touched. So this photographer easily have 12 channels. Let's assess the viability. Location is always a consideration. You're going to have to understand that small towns mean you're going to have to think bigger around your town. You're going to have to think of regions and states. Medium large cities, you're going to have to branch out to national at some point. But where you live is always going to be a consideration for your channels. Given the tools you have, do you feel comfortable in accepting assignments? Are you set? Can you light things? Can you produce an image when you're expected to? Every photographer can produce a great image now and then. It's like, there's no doubt about it. What we have to do is produce a great image on demand. That is a huge difference. Can you do that? You're going to have to know whether you're ready to get out there and do it. And that's okay. You can do it. And you don't need a ton of gear to do it either. I know photographers, and you know photographers, that have very little gear, but get amazing assignments. So it's not a gear-centric thing. Don't think you have to have $25,000 worth of gear to go out and be a photographer. If you're trying to do what's in your portfolio now, and you're doing what's in your portfolio now, then I would say you probably are pretty much ready to go. Where you get in trouble is when you show a portfolio full of work to a channel that you can't produce again. And someone says, wow, that's really great. Let's get some more of these jet ski shots. And you can't do it again because you were lucky on those first ones, or someone else did your camera settings for you, or you were at a workshop and you snagged that shot there. And you can't do this on your own. If you can't do it on your own, you're in trouble. So you've got to know that. And while you're doing this assignment, this class, you may find something else that you never thought of. In Project 52, wow, we have people who came into Project 52 thinking that they loved portraits more than anything else in the world, and boom, they leave doing food, or they leave doing product, or product shooters have come in and left doing portraits. We've had 2 photographers who did still lifes who started Project 52. And by the end of Project 52, they were major portrait photographers in their towns. So you find other things as you keep looking around. You got your channels? Great, because now we've got sub-channels. Hiking or camping gear. That's hiking boots, hiking gear, camping gear, tenons, lanterns, etc. Camping technology, everything from software to apps to bear enclosures, trailers, pop-ups, RVs, dirt bikes, camping food, consumables. Wow, you can find a few more. Now we're getting real nitty-gritty, and we're starting to even feel more empowered because we really know what's going on. We're starting to see, hey, our work can be used here. This is good. We start to see a value at the end for the work that we're doing. That's the point of this exercise. Identifying subchannels begin to clarify our purpose. I'm going to, leave you to work on channels, but I've got a few things to say here. We're on number 2 now, so let me give you a cautionary note. I would guess that many of you will not go on to number 3 because many of you are going to say, "Oh man, this is a lot of work. This is just way too much work. And I'm not ready to put in this kind of work," and that's okay. You're probably not going to be commercial photographers, whether you do my system here or someone else's system, or you develop one on your own. You're still going to have a system. You're still going to have to know where clients are, or you simply won't get work. So there's a breakdown of photographers like this. People who want to be photographers, 100% of those people who have cameras and stuff love taking pictures. That's the whole group. That's everybody. The people who want to be very good at it, that's about 75%. 25% don't care how good they are at it. It just doesn't matter. They just want to take pictures. How many people are willing to work to be good at it? Well, now the number cuts way down. I used 47 because I'm such a smart guy. I know 47. It might be 46.3. I don't know. My research isn't complete, but it's not that many. And then when you get down to the last, how many are willing to make the commitment needed to break into this field? Not very many. I hope you realize this going in. This is not easy. Anyone who's trying to tell you that it's easy is just flat out lying to you. I'm not going to even tell you that they're trying to sell you something. They're just trying to flat out lie to you. It's not true. There's no easy path here. It's a lot of work. On the other side of the work, it's a lot of fun. If you don't like stress, it might be very stressful for you. I live on stress. Every photographer I know eats stress for breakfast. Sometimes stress can bring out the best of you. This is a stressful business. You don't know sometimes from one month to the next if you're going to have a job. But if you work the plan that I have for you, you'll get a job. I guarantee it. I've talked to photographers who haven't updated their work for nearly a decade who are working. Barely, but they're working. How do you think they would be if they were doing my system, which is coming up in the last one here, which is meeting 72 people a month or contacting 72 people a month? How do you think they'd be doing then? Do you think they'd still be struggling? I can guarantee you they won't. I have seen photographers in my group, my Project 52, pop back on Project 52 over at the Facebook page and said, "Oh crap, I used Don's method on 5 clients and I got 3 jobs." 5 clients, 3 jobs. That's true. I'm not going to use the full name. Name's James, but I won't use his full name because I don't have permission from James. I just popped into my brain right now, but James will back it up, I'm sure, on the website here. 5 clients, 3 jobs, because he broke down one day after fighting resistance and saying, "Oh, what Don is asking me to do is so much work, so much work, so much work." And it got real slow, and he jumped in and did it and went, "Holy crap." He's been absolutely on board ever since because it works. How many will make it through to the end? Commercial photographers? Not the end of my class. A lot of people make it through the end of my class, but the end of the struggle, probably not that many. Take the step-by-step way of creating your channels and do it, because you will find that it adds more and more credibility to your own photography, to your own self-value. You start to see a light at the end of the tunnel. It may be at a distance, but at least you know when you're out shooting that lake this weekend with the motorboat going across, at least you're thinking, "Wow, this is going to get me something in the travel industry. This is going to get me something in the lifestyle business. This is going to come back for me. Instead of just standing there shooting a picture of the lake with a motorboat on it, not having a damn clue who would ever use it. There's a difference between getting likes on Facebook and being a commercial photographer. It also fills your brain with these wonderful patterns. The best way for me to explain it is something that happens a lot to a lot of us. Is, you're sitting at a car, you're sitting at a stoplight, and a car pulls up next to us, and you look over that car and you think, wow, that's a cool car. I've never seen a car like that. What is that car? And so you hold back a little bit, and the car goes past, and you see, oh, it's a whatever. It's a Veloster. Wow, I've never seen a Veloster before. What do you see within the next 5 minutes? Another Veloster. What do you see the next day? 5 more Velosters. Why? They've been around you all the time. You never saw them because you never looked at them. They were in your periphery. They didn't matter. But once you said to your brain, hey, brain, I really like that. Your brain says, hey, I'll show you some more. That's how it works. Works with anything. You tell yourself that you're going to screw up, you will screw up. You tell yourself you're going to succeed, you will generally succeed. Or at least succeed enough to know that why you failed. You'll get it. You will figure it out. These are the keys into being a commercial photographer and getting commercial photography assignments. I know we hear a lot about how there's no work out there and it's really blah and it's really the... Ask yourself this, if it's so bad, how come all the photographers aren't quitting? Good question, huh? They're all whining about it, but they're not quitting. And the ones that aren't whining about it are too busy to get on places and chat about it. My friend Eric goes on Facebook maybe twice a week because he's so damn busy shooting. My friend James gets on once or twice a week for the same reason. He's busy. He's shooting. If you're not busy shooting, I guess it's easy to complain about not having any work. If you don't have any work and you're not working a system, whether it's my system or any other system, then you have no excuse at all. If you're not letting people know that you're a photographer and doing it in some systematic way, you're probably not going to have a job. So go out and figure out your channels, folks. It's the next step. After this, getting personal. Once we know who the channels are, let's jump in and find out who is working within those channels to hire us. Now we're going to go for names and numbers. That's right, we're going to be kicking butts and taking names. See you next time.